Hey everyone, sorry about missing my video last night, but that should be okay because I got stuff to explain regardless. So let's see. Okay, I think everything's working okay. So what we got right here, right now, is I managed to go through and get some kind of like a logical mesh replacement type system in place. But there's one drawback with this system that I'm not happy with. Otherwise, it works pretty well. So for example, I can grab like this right here, and you see how this object over here is different from that floor, but it still knows like what the main material was, and then you can just sort of paste it right onto that. And then whenever, so for like if I press C on this, it'll immediately put all the filters. It brings me to the correct one so that I can assign the correct one back. So it whenever you copy an object and it makes it that it copies it to this, it'll actually list everything logically so that you can immediately know like all other objects that are the same shape, roughly speaking, that you can then go ahead and replace the material with. This functionality has to coincide with something else that I'm still trying to figure out how to do, and that is making sure that all of these icons are actually done with render to texture, like a system like that, which is actually really it's going to be really important for the overall UX flow of this kind of a thing because I would rather see a textured shape to give me information on exactly what it is that I'm working with. um, so yeah, like that's just got to happen. So this involves actually, this is kind of weird too because it involves the process of like spawning the object really far below the map, right? And taking a picture of it and then turning it into an icon almost like as soon as everything starts. So as soon as like the entire widget is created, I'm going to spawn an object all the way, no replication or anything like that. Just you spawn all of your objects one at a time and then delete it. Take a picture and then delete it so that you can get an idea of like what the preview will actually be. And I got to do this with all of these, even this stuff like the let me get rid of wall here. Yeah, even this stuff like the zombies and the fucking demons and the keys, explosive barrels, and all that stuff, all that kind of interesting stuff actually needs to be spawned below the level and then have a picture taken, and then you can see the actual icon. All right. One of the reasons why I actually it occurred to me that this is something that's absolutely necessary is Borderlands 3. They have a billion guns. You ever notice that how like all 1 billion trillion whatever how many guns they have? They have an icon for each and every one of them. Nobody hand painted those motherfuckers. They're actually all spawned underneath the map, taken a picture of or something like that, and then it's placed in your inventory as soon as the icon, as soon as it's necessary to render the icon. So with that said, this world that I've been working on for a while now has been continuing to grow, and now you can see that it is actually receiving a lot of the texturing. There's still stuff that needs texturing, which leads me into talking about the thing that sucks about this current method right now. Now, I've thought about a bunch of different solutions, and it turns out that there's not really much I can do about it. I'm just going to have to list every single one of the meshes as separate objects manually in the data tables. Now, I thought about just automatically spitting out, like, um, you know, um, maybe it's possible. It's possible maybe there could be a method where like I spit out like a bunch of it just automatically generate the list because I do have a list of all the materials right here in another data table, right? And then for each object, I can just make it so that every one of these materials is listed automatically, and it just like does everything programmatically. But there are some objects that this won't work with. Namely, let me take a look. Let's see. So, like, there are some cases where there's going to be objects that have lots of different material IDs that aren't normal. Like, for example, this guy here, right? So this one here has 4 different material IDs because it has 4 different materials. There's like a block texture here, like if I use this block, you see, and then the bottom is the repeating metal, and then I have the sides, which I guess would also be, you know, like maybe this one right. Oh no, that ended up being the top there. See, this is all messed up. Like now, it's possible that I could solve this by just never doing something like this, or having like interesting objects and just making sure that all of the objects that I have only have like one material on them. But that's really unrealistic. And it's harder that what I'm getting at is that it makes it a lot harder to automate this if I want to have objects that are more complex. Now, maybe I should just go ahead and get just limit what it is that I can do, and keep everything to only one special material, and I guess the rest of it. So like all of these would all just have 2 materials basically, a main material and then a side material, I guess, or something like that. I could do that where like I would, in this particular object, the second material would just be like all this, and then I would have these like that. I mean, I could do that. That would make it possible to actually automate this. Then I would only need to assign 2 materials to every object. Um, then I can automate it. I don't know. I'm still not quite happy with the system. However, I will say right now, I'm a lot happier with it now than I was, um, you know, a few days ago. So hmm, it's choices. I mean, if I want to have maybe like more complex shapes and stuff like that. The thing is though, thinking about it a lot, like the vast majority of the objects that are placed in the world are actually fairly simplistic. I mean, hmm. Oh yeah, there's other things too. Like if I want to automate it, there are a lot of materials that I don't want. Like I don't want to bother to have, you know, a brick texture on these spikes, right? I've also thought about too, like once I get past all of the base materials, all the base like walls, floors, and ceiling type stuff, right? These have the greatest variety in different types of materials that I'm going to want to have, right? So like once I have that done, I can then like a lot of like there's probably only gonna be like 2 crate textures. So like it's not gonna be this like exponential growth for everything because most of the objects, most of the the detailing objects and stuff like that you place into the world, most of them are not going to like require me to go through the full gambit of every single texture on the list. In fact, it's probably fine to skip like on, maybe like 80% of the different types of objects, and just skip like 80% of the textures. It's very, it's very likely. Like, I mean, when it comes to a pipe texture, like I need 2 pipe textures. Like, I don't need to have a brick on the pipe. There's never gonna be a brick pipe. You know. Um, yeah. So it's hmm. I think maybe the current method I have right now is fine. It just feels overwhelming because the list gets so big because a lot of the base objects, like every time I add a new material, a new wall texture, I'm going to have to go through every single one of the different wall types, wall, floor, and ceiling types that it may look good with and make one instance of that on the data table. Maybe it's not that big of a deal. I don't know. It feels a little weird. It feels a little weird. It feels like maybe there's something I can do, But for most of the bigger props, most of the bigger walls, floors, and ceilings and stuff like that, there may not be that much variety. Like if I'm doing like a cave area or something like that, that's just gonna be like one or two maybe rock cave type deals, like triplanar type stuff. Like there's probably not going to be a whole lot of you know going through like giant list of all of the the base textures or whatever. I just see that this data table is going to get very big over time. Like it's just going to be a huge ass data table, which is probably not that big of a deal, honestly. It just it feels weird to me. It feels weird. Like maybe I should be doing it differently or figuring out how to automate it or something like that. I mean, I even thought about just like making different instances of the objects so that I can at least, you know, like you have a bunch of static meshes and then just keep making different instances of the static mesh and then just automatically grab all the static meshes. But I mean, that's just kind of a slightly less convoluted way to do exactly what I'm already doing, which doesn't really solve the problem of having like a huge ass list of different types of walls, floors, ceilings, and things of that nature. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I could focus less on making variations of wall textures and focus more on making meshes that go in front of the wall. So like if I want to have these like have like a metal plate, I actually make a mesh that's a metal plate, and then it just has that mesh just has like the base metal or something like that, and maybe like one texture on the front of it, and that makes it one prop, one material, or something along those lines, where it doesn't require me to go through every single wall, floor, and ceiling texture. So maybe I might be more dependent. If I just work with more of the if I just work with more variety on meshes, I can sort of skirt around the limitation of having to make like one new wall texture having to be applied to every single wall, floor, and ceiling that I want to have that it might look good with, basically. Um, Other than that, though, the flow of it at the moment is pretty effective. It's going to be kind of tedious to go through the initial list. I think maybe that's another thing too, is the initial list is not going to be as bad as the aftermath list where I'm just trickling stuff in and then I just make like a few different variations of it of an object after that, right? Like it won't be as bad at that point in time. It's just one of those things. Maybe it's just better if I just implementation wise I just keep it simple and work with what I got. And it won't really be that hard to maintain the list once all of the big stuff is over with, basically. So yeah, all right, I can kind of see that now. Like doing different sets, like the castle set is obviously going to have like its own bricks, its own everything like that, and that'll be kind of annoying to have to go through each wall, floor, and ceiling and make like a unique set for all of the different castle types. Right now, I'm just building the base stuff. So one thing that is nice though, so if you get like crate, it'll list all the crates. There's only one crate right now, but there'll be a few variations of crates in this set. You know, um, yeah, it's using the old icon for the barrel. All right, so once I get the icons set up and so that they actually utilize the render to texture thing, so that the icons are all just uh, they all look properly with the proper they all look proper with the proper materials and all that stuff. We should be in pretty good shape. Overall, it feels pretty good to work with. It's not terrible. Uh, like I said, I guess the only problem is that this data table that I'm dealing with, not this one, is just gonna get very large. It's gonna it's gonna be very big. It's probably gonna have a few thousand entries by the time I'll get anywhere with project. You know what I mean? By the time I'm done with Death Spiral, for example, the additional mission, everything like that, I plan to try and have like a new, like an actual playable like release of Death Spiral that gets packaged with Revulsion, um, by October, sometime mid October, and once I have that, like I'm pretty sure this list will be, I don't know, maybe 50% larger than it currently is at the moment. That's not too bad, right? I mean, I could still scroll. I could just here's the thing though. I could just imagine like in the future where this like this side thingy here is like tiny and it's just like scrolling, you know? And it's just also too, if there was one fucking feature that I want Unreal 4 to have right now is the ability to right click on a data table row and copy it. Holy shit. I have to manually type in all of this garbage for every single one of these. I have to go through and start fresh with every single one of these fucking entries. Ugh. I don't know. Fuck it. You know, you gotta do what you gotta do, right? With that said, there isn't really a whole lot extra. Everything's pretty much in place. Everything's coming along. I haven't done any level design sessions. I haven't done anything like that. Also, Borderlands 3 is really good, and I haven't had a chance to play it myself yet. But damn, I'm watching everybody else play it, watching Zombie Doll stream playing it, watching friends in Discord. They'll just like leave the game like streaming on Discord when we're hanging out and stuff like that, and I get to just watch. The game looks phenomenal. It looks really good. I think it accomplished pretty much 80% of the stuff that I wanted Revulsion to have. Um, it pretty much does it all. It's really good. Um, I don't know if Borderlands is going to have a massive impact on my work, like how much work I get done or whatever, but yeah, like maybe it's not healthy for me to be working around the clock anyway. It's just by the looks of it in this particular case right now, once I get past this whole data table thing and like, enough of the objects are in place and I get enough materials and different variations of current objects and everything like that, we should be in pretty good shape. It's not like I'm gonna have to be like killing myself here. There'll be a lot of like level design streams and stuff like that in the near future where all we're doing is just like working on maps. That'll be fun. And uh, it won't take very much longer now. Now that I kind of have a lot of my decisions kind of made on like how I want to get things done, I just need to make a bunch of variations of different meshes and all that kind of stuff, and it shouldn't be too bad, honestly. It should be pretty good. So, with that said, I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna end this video now. Hope you enjoyed. Sorry about missing the video yesterday and everything like that, but yep, progress is being made. Everything is coming together. There's, just some hiccups along the way at this point in time. So, all right, take it easy.